Hallelujah. Shabbat Shalom. Shanquilla or Shanquilla Carter, One Vision Ministry. Um, I want to deal with usurping authority this Shabbat. So, Abiyah, thank you for this opportunity to come forth as your proxy and representative. May I never usurp your authority, that I speak things that you have permitted and not go outside of that. May I honor you always and reflect on your will being done and not my own. I thank you for this opportunity, and may all the constructive criticism come that may guide me and direct me to be sharpened as iron sharpens iron, to bring forth your word and express your heart in this season. Hallelujah. All right. I'm a watchman on the wall, so I gotta do what watchmen do. And sometimes you gotta warn folks and speak on things. So basically, I see this great push for people to acknowledge themselves as king. And I'm like, Yahuwah's only king, or Yahuwah is the sovereign of all sovereigns. But of course, as my thing said, he's the master of hosts. Many have proclaimed that Yahusha is such. Yahusha is the representative, so he sits in that position, but again, he has an authority over him. All right, let me go and let me begin to sharing and talking. What I want to get to is, first, I'm going to go to definitions. Hit a couple of definitions. So the first definition is usurp. So it's like the verb is to take a position of power or importance illegally or by force. The next definition is to take the place of someone in a position of power illegally, supplant. So we're going to look up that word supplant. It says to encroach or infringe upon someone's right. Let's go over here to supplant. Supplant means, to supersede and replace. Supersede and replace. So let me stop that. And all right. So Yahuwah has established himself as the sovereign of sovereigns, king of kings, but yet men have given that title over to Yahusha. And Yahusha, he's not proclaiming that. It's written on him. His owner has written on him and marked him. So he represents that. He's marked with that, but yet is pointing to Yahuwah. The direction has never elevated himself to the position of being the destination. It's men that do that. And I per se say it's error to do so. I get challenged a lot because people say that I'm trying to, I guess, usurp the authority of Yahusha, when in actuality, I'm trying to point that Yahusha is an authority. He's my authority. I bow to him. I reverence him. But yet, my worship goes to Yahuwah. He points to the Father. His name says Yahuwah is salvation. That's what Yahusha means. So again, when some say that his name is the greatest name, it's like, how can it be when his name points to another name? But, all right, let me get over here and start my message and get to going. So I'm going to start off, of course, I'm gonna start off with some scriptures, or just to start off. So let me share my screen and read some things, and you could see my point of emphasis by what I read, I guess. So let's see. Here we go. All right. So starting off with Psalms. That's where I'm gonna start off at. So Psalms 10:16 says, Yahuwah is king or sovereign forever and ever. The heathen are perished out of his land. Psalms 47:1. O clap your hands, all ye people. Shout out, shout unto Elohim with the voice of triumph. For Yahuwah Elion is terrible. He is a great king over all the earth. All right, let me keep going. Move this up a little bit. Psalms 93:1. Yahuwah reigns. He is clothed with majesty. Yahuwah is clothed with strength, wherewith he has girded himself. The world also is established that it cannot be moved. Your throne, who is your? That's Yahuwah. Throne is established of old. You are from everlasting. Again, acknowledging him. All right. Zechariah 14:16. And it shall come to pass that everyone that is left of all the nations which came against Jerusalem shall even go up from year to year to worship the king. Who is the king? This is end times is speaking. Yahuwah Shavuot, and to keep the feast of Sukkot. Of course, many are going to say that, they're going to worship Yahusha, but it says here, Yahuwah Shavuot. And it shall be that whoso will not come up of all the families of the earth into Jerusalem to worship the king, Yahuwah Shavuot, even upon them shall be no rain. All right, keep going. Malachi 1:14. But cursed be the deceiver, which has in his flock a male and vows a sacrifice unto Adonai, a corrupt thing, for I am a great king, says Yahuwah Shavuot, and my name is dreadful among the heathen. So, again, I'm going to hit Psalms 10:16 again. This is just a different version, but it says Yahuwah is sovereign forever and ever. When does forever end? The nations shall perish from his land. So that's one version. Let's go back to the other one. Yahuwah is king forever and ever. The heathens are perished out of his land. Yahuwah is king forever. Anybody else, you're replacing him. Yahuwah is king. Yes, he has representatives. Oh, they say, well, what about King David? We're going to deal with that. Men wanted a king, so he gave them one, but he never desired for them to have any other king or sovereign but him. So why would he put someone else there in eternity if that was never his plan? Yes, this earth realm, he did that. He put Shual there, Shaul. But again, that was never his plan. That was never his desire. He wanted to be. But I'm going to deal with that. Let's keep going. Let's keep going. I'm going to stop that. And I'm going to actually start now going to text because the text is where we need to be for this to go. So I'm gonna start off with some usurping authority. I'm gonna just point to some other scenarios or some things and stuff and put some stuff in place. So my first thing that I'm gonna address. Let's go. I'm gonna go share my screen. First thing is the hierarchy of mankind. So to start it off, here's we're gonna go at Bereshit Genesis 1. We're gonna start off at verse 26. And it says, and Elohim said, let us make men. So Elohim, I mean, people say plural, so let us. But I still esteem that the host of heaven, because he's the master of hosts, as my border says. Let me stop it and show you. Master of hosts, Yahuwah. So that means he has hosts around him. You know, his throne room, he has other people on the throne, but their thrones are way beneath. They're not equal. They're not beside his. And Elohim said, "Let us." So you have all of the angels, what we call angels, Malachim. If they're Kodesh or holy, they're Ruachs, right? They will be holy Ruachs or Kodesh Ruachs. But anyway, let us make man in our image. Elohim is a Ruach. So in our image, he's bringing forth an image according to our likeness. Character and reputation hits my mind always when I hear likeness and, and stuff like this, because they're representing him. He's a spiritual being, but this is a natural creation that he has. And so he's having an image or a representative that fits this natural realm. Though he is spiritual, he's making another reign, a place for him to reign that is natural. Okay, let me keep going. And Elohim said, let us make man in our image according to our likeness, and let them rule over the fish of the sea, and over the birds of the heavens, and over the livestock, and over all the earth, and over all the creeping creatures that creep on the ground. And Elohim created the man in his image. In the image of Elohim, he created him, male and female, he created them. So this is who is to have dominion on the earth, to be his proxy, his representative. This is what he set in motion. The man would be the head over the woman. This is his hierarchy. This is what he set in motion. The man would be the one who named all the creation. The man was the one that's supposed to dictate to the woman what to be done. Male and female was his image, but the man was the head over the female. So let's go over here to Genesis 3. And we're going to see, since he's over creation, the animals and all this, as well as the woman, we see right here, Genesis or Bereshit 3, the Nahash. This is, many will say snake or whatever, but a serpent, whatever. It's a reptilian being, whatever. But of course, it's a created being, and thus the man has dominion over, or is able to speak to it and direct, because he has dominion over what's on the earth. No, he doesn't have dominion over Yah, but everything else on the earth he has dominion of. So here it is. And the Nahash was more crafty than all the lives of the field which Yahuwah Elohim had made. And he said to the woman, is it true that Elohim has said, do not eat of every tree of the garden? The man was the one responsible for talking to Eve. But now this Nahash is talking to Eve or Havah. And the woman said to the Nahash, we are to eat of the fruit of the trees of the garden. But the fruit of the tree which is in the midst of the garden, Elohim has said, do not eat of it, nor touch it, lest you die. Now, do not eat of it. That language is there, but nor touch it, lest you die. Touch it. The command was not to eat it. Touch it was not a part of the command. This was something embellished or added or whatever. My take. And the Nahash said to the woman, you shall certainly not die. So the Nahash is challenging what Yah has said. For Elohim knows that in the day that you eat of it, your eyes shall be opened, and you shall be like Elohim, knowing good and evil. Was this a lie? It's challenging the authority, but was it a lie? And the woman saw the tree was good for food, and it was pleasant to the eyes, and the tree desirable to make one wise, and she took of its fruit and ate. And she also gave to her husband with her. He was with her, and he ate. So instead of him directing and leading and doing for her, now she's directing and leading, and she's giving him something that he already knew he is not supposed to do, not supposed to eat. Then the eyes of both of them were open, and they knew that they were naked, and they sewed fig leaves together and made loin coverings for themselves. So let's just deal with that. The authority given to man was over all creation and even the woman. The woman may have been deceived by the Nahash, but the man knew clearly what he was told. So he made a choice. The woman ate first. I have many thoughts on why the man went on and ate. I believe he didn't want to see this helpmeet, this complementary part of him die. And he would rather die with her than her die and he be alone again. That's what I believe. But of course, that's adding. So I'm not saying you should believe that. Excuse me. One thing though, the order of not eating it was not complied with. And the man who had dominion and had authority over the woman and every other creature allowed the creature, one, to talk to his woman, and then his woman to say something to him that was contrary to the Most High. They were supposed to have dominion over the animals and stuff like that. So she allowed her authority to be challenged by the Nahash, looking for something that she already had. She already was like Yah. She was made in the image of Yah. And now she went and challenged her man. Oh, he said don't eat it, but I ate it. It was good. Here you go. Here you go, piece. Go and try this. And I'm embellishing a little bit, but man, he was with her. So why, if he's with her and the Nahash doing it, why didn't he say shut up? Why did he stop, Or was he just so, just enamored with her beauty and just fawning over her so much that he, neglected his duties? He avoided taking responsibility in the end because this woman you gave me. He blamed Yah. All right. Let me continue. So I want to show next. Yah has a plan, he has things in place and, you know, with the garden situation, you see Havah or Eve usurp the authority that Adam was given, or, but let's see about this nation that's called Israel. Let's go and deal with his order of operations for Israel that he put in place. So going over here to Shemot or Exodus 19. And so this is after he had humbled the Egyptians or Mizrahites. And so it says here in 19 and 4, you have seen what I did to the Mizrahites, and how I bore you on eagle's wings and brought you to myself. And now, if you diligently obey my voice and shall guard my covenant, then you shall be my treasured possession above all the peoples. Sadly, a lot of people don't like that idea that Israel is above all peoples. They want to call it races and everything else or whatever, but Israel is above all peoples. For all the earth is mine. The whole earth belonged to Yah. He started off giving Adam dominion, but Adam forsake that dominion. So as time progressed, those of his bloodline, his descendants, you know, they spread all over the earth. Then he flooded and got rid of a nice portion of them. But then out of that, he chose a bloodline, the Shemitic bloodline. But as he even went further in that, with Abraham, let me see. Well, let me see. Do I have it up here? No, I'm gonna leave that alone. But Israel was established through Abraham. I might come back to that, but you see, these are his people, and so he wants to set a hierarchy, and so it says, "And you shall be to me a reign of priests." Not a reign of kings, but priests and a set apart nation. This was not said just to the Levites. This was said to the whole nation of Israel. Those are the words which you are to speak to who? The children of Israel. The whole nation was supposed to be to him a reign of priests. Of course, we see that the Levites were the ones established, but that was to give them an example, to show them how to do it. They were to be the priests over Israel, but Israel as a whole was supposed to be the priest of all the nations of the earth, the examples to all the nations of the earth. So, okay, let's keep it moving. Let's keep it moving. These people that were supposed to be royal priests, you got some priestly line that's dealing with them. Shemuel or Samuel, we call him. Man, he was a good dude, but his sons were some rotten bastards. And I use that word bastards or mamzers. They wasn't mamzers, but they act like that. They wasn't about the business. So let's go. Shemuel Aleph, 1 Samuel 8. And it came to be when Shemuel was old that he made his sons rulers over Israel. See, priests being rulers, that's what, because that's how it's established by Yah. And the name of the firstborn was Yoel, and the name of the second, Abiah, rulers in Beersheba. But his sons did not walk in his ways. Remember, we just got through talking. I'm going to cut right back. If you diligently obey my voice and shall guard my covenant, then you should be my treasured possessions above all peoples. Come back over here. Yoel and Abiah, his sons, did not walk in his ways. They did not diligently obey the voice of Yah. They did not guard his covenants. They dishonored Yah and caused the people of Yah to now look and to be unclean, unrighteous. And the people like, they can't represent us. No, 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 no. This not working. But this is what Yah wanted the whole of Israel to be priests. But the people that he gave it as example of what the priesthood, they not doing a good job. So his sons did not walk in his ways and turned aside after own gain and took bribes and twisted right ruling. Man, they were some poor judges. They used their position for money and gain. See, and all the elders of Israel gathered together and came to Shemuel at Ramah and said to him, look, you are old. Man, you was on the point. You was doing your job. But your sons, they do not walk in your ways. Now appoint for us a sovereign. Give us a king to rule us like all the nations. Man, this is a problem. Yah always desired to be the king, the ruler, the sovereign. And he set up the royal priests to reign with him. But these priests was all about them. They scattering, these are shepherds that scattering the sheep. These are shepherds or they taking the best for themselves. But the word was evil in the eyes of Shemuel. Of course it was, because he knew what Yah's will was, and he one that obeyed Yah's will. I don't know. His parenting must have fell off. I don't know. I don't want to blame him, but his sons wasn't like him. But the word was evil in the eyes of Shemuel when they said, give us a sovereign to rule us. So Shemuel prayed to Yahuwah. And Yahuwah said to Shemuel, listen to the voice of the people in all that they say to you, for they have not rejected you, but they have rejected me. They rejected Yahuwah from reigning over them. They didn't respect the sovereignty of Yah, the reign and the rule of King Yah. Boy. Mm-mm-mm. So again, the authority of Yah was usurped. His will was for him to be king and ruler and Israel to be his royal priest. But they like, they rejected his leadership and wanted a man. The man they got was Shaul, and he was a people pleaser. Yah replaced him with Dawid, someone after his own heart. But again, Yah wanted to be, because even Dawid had his shortcomings. Men gonna have their shortcomings. So since men, kind of, want men, he set up Adam in the first place. Second Adam got to come into play. He knew this he knew the end from the beginning. So again, yeah, Yahusha is going to rule. But again, Yahusha has a king or a ruler, a sovereign over him. Thus, Yahusha can't be the sovereign of sovereigns because he has a sovereign. He has a king. Many have taught that he's the sovereign of sovereigns, but again, he has a king. He has a sovereign. If anything, when you look at how kingdoms are run, it's only usually one king in a kingdom. Don't divide it. But let's deal with that. We're going to deal with that. The son of a king, he can have many sons. There'd be many princes. And the daughters, princess. But this one king. Unless you divide the kingdom. So let's deal with that. Divide the kingdom. We're gonna go and let's go over here. And I'm gonna share what I was gonna talk about with Abram first, Abraham or Abram, and then I'm gonna just talk a little bit. So let me share this real quick. So it's over Bereshit or Genesis 12, and it says, "And Yahuwah said to Abram, Go yourself out of your land from your relatives and from your father's house to a land which I show you, and I shall make you a great nation, Israel, and bless you and make your name great, and you shall be a person of favor." So Israel was established. I'm gonna just basically talk on this. Israel was established doing his thing. And as we see, he wanted to have priests run that thing. But the people decided because the priests wasn't doing what they supposed to do like they supposed to do, give us a king like the other nations. Y'all even let them know that king gonna take your daughters, they'll take your women, they're gonna take your riches. A king gonna basically do what's best for him and not for the people. But I'm gonna let you have that. Problem is, in Israel, you get up to Solomon. That's the king after Dawid, who was a man after the same heart of Yahuwah. And this man gets to having all these different women that has him affected by deities or mighty ones of other nations. And so he basically commits adultery against Yah because he's in bed with these women, but in bed with these other deities. To the point that Yah say, I gotta do something here. And it gets to the point that the kingdom now becomes divided. Israel has a king. Remember, Solomon is the son of Dawid, who is Yahudah, tribe of Yahudah. So now you end up having, you just reigning over Yahudah and Israel's a whole separate entity. Israel the north, Yahudah the southern. The kingdom is divided into two. And they're rarely ever on accord anymore. They even to the point sometimes warring with each other. Kingdom has one king, a real kingdom, unless it's divided. When you're divided, you can be conquered. Yahuwah is one. He's not divided. He's not double-minded. He don't have two agendas. That's why even the covenants, show the covenants are to Israel and Yahudah, but it's because it's to all of Israel, but they once were divided. They got to come back together and be whole. The 12 gates, whole. The 144,000, whole. Head and body, whole. If you have a head without a body, that's perverse. It's got to be whole. To represent Yah, you have to be whole. You can't be divided. He wants to be the king, and he is the king. Yahusha is not going against that. Yahusha is the prince, has been the prince. Men may call him king or sovereign or whatever, but the royal priests are even sovereign, but they're not the sovereign. They're not the master of hosts. Yahusha has a father. Yahusha has a king. We have a father and a king. And as Yahusha says, our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. The name that's hallowed is Yahuwah. not Shanquilla. And yes, Yahusha is way greater name than Shanquilla. But there's no name above the name of Yahuwah. Not one. Not even scratching the surface. And again, the direction is not greater than the destination. One points towards the other. Yahusha is not one has ever attempted to usurp the authority, but it's men. They're not happy with Yahuwah being sovereign over them. They got to find another. And they want to divide this thing. Yahusha, Yahusha, Yahusha. Yes, we do acknowledge him. But even when men had the Levitical priesthood, they didn't put the high priest that was in action then, above Yahuwah. Yes, they recognized that person. Yahusha now is the high priest. He's the big kahuna. But in so we do not usurp the authority of Yahuwah. We do, yes, just like in a scenario of a household. You can go to the kids can go to mom about something, but they not, if they go to mom about something that goes against what dad has said, mom is supposed to say, "Well, dad, your dad said." So there's no divide in the authority. Yes, mom is an authority, but again, the end goal and the rule is what the father says. Same thing with this kingdom that we are part of. Israel, royal priests, you have a level of authority when it comes to these other nations. But if you're not doing the will of the Father, you're out of line. You're acting as just like Shemuel's sons for your own gain. That's why me, myself, I don't know. I can't begrudge somebody else that's calling themselves king, but I don't have that place and that permission to call myself king. I'm not a king. Maybe I can, at times I've said I'm the king of my house, but I'm still under the authority of Yah. He's my king. So when I'm dealing with, in my house, yeah, I could be king in my house. But when I go amongst men, how am I going to declare myself king to people that are my peers? That's out of place. So it'd be out of place for me to expect anybody else to call me that. I'm the father in my house. But to have somebody else call me father, that's out of place. So me, I'm not calling no man king unless Yah tells me to. It's out of place. They're not my king. Yah is. Yahuwah is my king. I can give them reverence and all that. But that right there, it tells you not to call another man father. And it's not the term father, it's saying you ain't supposed to submit to the authority of this person when Yah's the authority over you. That's what it's saying. Many want to take the words and they use those words, and that's the problem. My wife is not supposed to submit to another man. I'm her head. It's out of order. If another man has something to say to my wife, as far as say it to me, because I'm the one that guides and directs. That's my responsibility. Respect the hierarchy, respect the rank and position. So I don't have a problem going to Yahusha or dealing with Yahusha, but Yahuwah is the power and authority. People say, well, you jump in the line. No, 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 no. I'm not. Because he even says how in his model prayer, our Father. He directed them to pray to the Father and not to pray to him. How should we pray? Our Father, which art in heaven. He gave that direction. He didn't say pray, Yahusha, who is in heaven, talk to the Father. He said, you go directly to the Father. Look at the model prayer. Our Father. They asked him how should he pray, and most of y'all don't even believe it. Y'all say y'all believe in the Brit Hadashah, in the Basora, but what did that man say? They asked him how to pray, and he said, "Our Father." He didn't point to himself. In the name of Yahusha. That ain't what he said. He said, "Our Father." He pointed to Yahuwah. Y'all the one that's usurping authority because Yahusha did not do so. Get it in order. Get it corrected. And stop being offended because someone is trying to show you something that you actually have been taught wrong. If you read it yourself and stop letting men influence you, stop following the tradition of men, you might catch it. You might stop being offended by me when I'm saying what Yah is giving me direction to say. Yes, we acknowledge Yahusha, but he even says, "Our Father." That's what he points out. You pray to the Father. Abba Yah, thank you. Our Father, hallowed be your name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done. Yes, Yahusha points towards you. Yes, we should point towards you for all to hear and see. The example over and over that many men have seen is the magnification of Yahusha, and they don't even mention the Father's name. You can go to these so-called Hebrew events, and you will hear Yahusha's name 1,000 times, and you'll rarely ever hear the name of Yahuwah. It's as if when Dawid was getting the praise and Shual was the king. No, Yah, you're not moved by that. But it has been said that you are a jealous El. None is beside you, none is before you, none is above you. So the example given should be pointing towards you, as Yahusha always pointed towards you. People say, well, they know my heart, they know what we mean. You're dealing with a lot of spiritually young people out here, and they only do as what they see and not what you say. They see you acknowledging Yahusha all the time. All the time. It's usurping the authority of Yahuwah. No, Yahusha is not meaning that. That's not what his goal was. That's not what he taught. So I'm not ever speaking bad on Yahusha, but men, the traditions of men, has taken people awry and had them honoring Yahusha more than they honor the Father. And this is usurping his authority. It's one of the problems that have had us in the place that we are. We've been operating in idolatry and won't even acknowledge it. We're worshiping the Son more than we worship the Father. As a nation of people, this is what is being seen. And thus, Echad, we have that as the majority stake out here. And thus we wonder why we are operating cursed and not favored and baruched. We need to get it together and stop usurping the authority and move according to the Father and his will being done. I thank you, Yahuwah, for this opportunity. Hallelujah. Shabbat Shalom.